Hello, here we are again.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, recovering from another bug, as most
Um,
of the world probably is, but good to be back here.
that's good.
And you been okay?
Yeah, I've been okay. I just had double vaccine the other day, so I was feeling kind of like on the dumps yesterday, but I'm feeling much better
Oh, the reality of
now.
our post-COVID world.
Oh, I know, and it's
All
still
right,
ongoing, right?
life goes on, and here we are with liminal writing. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us again today. And today's trigger phrase,
Yes.
as liminal writing goes, is from Elbert Hubbard.
Elbert Hubbard says, God will not look you over for medals, degrees, or diplomas, but for scars. Says,
The usual 10-minute timed writing. And here is what has come out. I go first.
yes.
Well, I am glad to hear that. For dear God, I have no degrees nor diplomas, but I sure have a lot of scars. Invisible scars, visible scars. They have marked my battles and they have decorated the pathways to this place I am in today.
Hmm.
I keep struggling with the worldly expectations, though. These earthly measures of success and learning and achievement. Part of my scars are left by barbed obstacles that have barred my ways into career options and workplaces. Those that did ask for medals and degrees and diplomas. But I realized even then that they were not God.
Hmm.
If they
Hmm.
did not give value to my scars, then they did not deserve the gift of my talent and my presence. The scars of childhood abuse have made me resilient, kind, generous, perceptive, forgiving, wise, appreciative of goodness, forgiving of evil. The scars left behind by political repression and activism that colored the days of my youth have taught me about optimism and courage, human suffering, and humanity's strength, about meaningful living where purpose beyond oneself brings fulfillment like no other. That's it. That was my 10
Hmm.
minutes of writing. Your turn, Lee.
Oh, here we go. Um, the scars are weightier than medals, degrees, or diplomas. These lines on my skin and soul, arterial branches of experience and life lessons. To those who believe God expects perfection, total goodness, virgin pureness, I have come to know a God that loves me for striving, for going through the mud, for moving over boulders, for wallowing, for truth seeking. Each breath I take, each intake and out, my lungs pressing against my ribs, reshapes the body, redirects the spirit. These scars of my doing, a lattice work of making, breaking, and remaking, a co creation with God. They who provided the original framework and me in the everyday of refleshing, suturing, a handwork of love, strength, beauty, and the once ugly.
I love
That's
it.
it.
And the once ugly.
Which is now not, in my view. So
No.
the way that I took it, so this that I was given, the body that I was given, and I am co-creating it with God in the way that I take care of it, in the way that I reshape it to who I am in my mind and in my heart.
Wow.
Do you want to speak to about what your experience was like writing this, the moment that you read the line, and then what came to you as you started writing?
This speaks so loudly and quite scarily, is that a word?
Hmm?
It's been scary for me, the line, because it's so real. It speaks to a very deep complex that I have about not able to really have the degrees and the diplomas that
Yeah.
color a lot of my colleagues and even people who work in my field
Yeah.
that surround me in my world of work.
Mm.
But I am there, right?
Yeah.
But that's why I said we were socially conditioned
Mm.
to actually measure our worth, our capacity, our credibility through
Yeah.
all these titles,
Mm.
which I don't have. I don't have those titles.
Mm.
And
Though the lack of titles has not deterred you from producing excellent work.
exactly. That is what I struggle to connect in my brain because I have achieved a lot. I have to give myself that.
You did.
I have worked with so many different populations, communities, countries,
Mhm.
ministries,
Correct.
global agencies,
Chief executives, right?
executives. And it's been apparent from my life, those lack of titles, what was just coincidental, I guess, to in my life, even from when I was young. And some of them were a lack of a grade school diploma because I was too smart. I
A lack
didn't,
of grade school diploma. What do you mean?
yeah, because I was accelerated.
Okay.
My teachers made me take an exam to this special school, the Philippine Science High School for geniuses in the country, when
Yeah.
I was in the sixth grade, and there was a seventh grade yet. But they made me take it for some reason. I didn't even know what I was getting into.
Okay.
They made me take it on my sixth grade, and I passed.
So they accelerated you
Yes. So I
to
went jump straight
freshman.
to high school.
Ah, so that's what you mean. Okay.
And then in high school, I became a really intense political activist at the age of 15. And then I was kicked out before my fourth year of high school.
Yeah.
And I was then accepted by another school where I excelled so much because I was advanced
Yeah.
with the condition that I wouldn't be issued a diploma from
Oh,
that school.
seriously. But you did all the work.
Yeah. I was coaching my classmates with the science lessons because I was advanced. And then I passed the competitive exams again for the University of the Philippines. And I hopped
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
life continued, and political activism and theater where we went up continued. And I didn't finish college. Then my
Yeah.
exposure in political activism and theater and all the skills that came with it and the intellect made me be able to fulfill an international post, which was the first post being in Cambodia for Oxfam, where I was using participatory methodologies for non-formal education in a post-war and conflicted country. So it just made sense. And I studied a lot for each role and each job. I absorbed a lot of learning and knew how to pass on the learning. So I just grew.
You are a poster child for success on your own terms. You've always been learning and you've always shared that learning with others. So I think that your success is not because you had diplomas or degrees. Your success is in the number of people and organizations that you've helped become more stable, built more capabilities, worked on the global platform for issues like public health issues, governance, policy. And it doesn't necessarily mean that a person with a degree would have the same experience and
Oh, totally
achievements as
not. I'm sorry, but
right.
yeah, but it's making me emotional. um, yeah, I think
You are a success determined by yourself, right?
That's why in the writing that I read, it's that combination of just the complexity of my own personal experience, including what I went through in my younger years, because that
Mm,
combination of resilience and at the same time knowing what it is to be disempowered and be vulnerable, but at the same time having the intellect. And even because we are both from the theater,
yeah.
I'm also really creative and I'm able to, and quite visionary, I believe.
Mhm.
Actually, if I look and step back and really be honest and not be scared to be to to
To
acknowledge.
step into your light.
I know,
Not be scared to step
not
into your light.
yeah, I like that. That's because I am. Um, it's actually quite a wonderful combination, isn't it? I would hire me.
Rightfully so,
I would
right?
hire me.
Step into your light. That's actually a line from a song at the church that I go to.
Really? I love that.
Just being comfortable and at peace because the universal force, God, sees you as you are
Wow,
in
I
your
love that
full
line, step
self, in
into
your
your.
full purpose. So you step into your light.
I love it. I've been
And I
hesitant.
think it's a good thing that you, because you brought it up, like we're both kids, right? So, and we're used to having lights on
I know, and
us.
you
So,
remember our director, who happens to be my brother, Chrisman, find your light. Remember that? He would say
yes,
it when
find
we're
your
doing
light.
walking in the theater and find your light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So actually, the light that is my light, I just have to step into that space and actually be comfortable. As I was saying, yeah, step into your light, the line
Mm-hmm.
you said. And that other thing we said was in theater, our director would say, find your light. And it makes me examine and think about one, have I really been hesitant into stepping into my light? And what is it that has held me back from stepping into that space comfortably?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I have stepped into that light, but as a matter of necessity, because I had to function and deliver my work, right?
Yeah.
The other one is find your light. I think that was interesting because that does echo when I do my work. I even do that when I facilitate. I think I've told you this before. When I would facilitate big meetings, I would make sure to go be in the venue before anyone else,
Oh, yeah.
welcome everyone into my space,
Yes.
and everyone is welcomed into the energy that you
Mm-hmm.
want to be pervading in that whole experience, whether
Yes.
it's a strategy meeting, a planning meeting, or a reflection meeting, or whatever it is, consultation. They come into that space. And
Yeah.
with that is that vision of me finding that light, being in the center. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, my facilitation style is that yes, you come into my space, but the light that is focused on me in the beginning is actually then if you're looking at theater light, it floods back to the
It
audience.
widens. It widens the
Yeah.
scope to
And then
include all the
includes,
participants.
yes, and
Yeah.
then I become more invisible because then the light is on them. That's kind of how I seen them. But this is interesting what you've introduced, the concept of stepping into my light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
To connect it still to talking about light and finding achievement, it feels like it was important to you, maybe in the past. I'm not too sure if it still is. It seems important to you that why is it important to you then about having a degree? What is it connected to? Uh
Because
okay, go.
expect because it has been a practical barrier to applying for positions
Were you
when
denied positions and up in your applications because you didn't have what
I
they
don't know if I was not denied per se, but I feel I can just deduce that sometimes it got me, out of the short or not included me in a
Mm,
short list because immediately when it's there in a job advert, you would already have the required
yeah,
essential, whatever it is called, and it will be postgraduate or graduate degrees, right?
yeah.
But the rest of the list in the qualifications, I'm like, um, but
Can I
also,
share with you one thing that I've read
oh, you go ahead. But
from recruiters
yeah,
and
go ahead.
HR folks? As long as the achievements that you have meet what's on their list, then they don't necessarily look at you graduated from this, that you have this degree. I think in the business world, as long as you've delivered and you have these achievements, that is weightier
Yeah,
than whatever education. Because you've always proven that you've always been doing professional development as
yeah,
well. It's not like you
yeah.
stopped, right?
I hear you, but two things. A lot of the kind of short list, the long listing now,
Mm,
screening is actually automated, isn't it? There's
yes.
some UN, I will cite the UN or global agency sites where it's automated when you submit an application for a job posting.
Yes.
And the pre-screening already has those,
Mm, yeah.
right? The tick off. And then I'm like, well, then how do you get past that?
That's that. Mm.
That's one. Um, Second, I forgot the second. It will come back. It will come back. But yeah, but
Right.
that's one of the key things I think that it doesn't affect me when I'm there. Like when I'm on a table and then
Yeah, when you're doing the
I'm
work.
on a roll.
Yeah.
It's it's before you enter. It's to
Mm,
enter these spaces
yeah.
or get into roles. So I don't think of it every day.
Good.
But when I'm in like those junctures in my career path or in my life where I then have to try and go
Mhm.
into spaces where I'm not in, and but I think I would have contributed a lot to, but then I couldn't because this becomes that's why I basically wrote that it's barred my way. There's barbed obstacles, I call it even.
I like that the alliteration that you have there. A barb and a bar.
Oh yeah, the barbed obstacles that have barred my way
Yeah.
to career options and workplaces because they do ask for degrees, diplomas, and medals. They do.
Mm, mm, yeah.
So, but I think the world is changing.
Very much so.
Have to. It will have.
Yeah.
And if you, and the funny thing, the irony is, all these big leaders in the business and even government, I would think, but just leaders in general
Mm,
that are actually celebrated for not having gone through these traditional pathways of credentialing themselves, right?
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we can probably rattle off names of people who have been so groundbreaking and revolutionary in what they've introduced to the world that didn't have degrees.
Yeah. Oh.
Can you name one?
Like Bill Gates is one. He didn't finish his degree. And it's another white guy. But because I'm talking about like the tech world, right?
Yeah,
That's
there's a
what
lot.
I'm currently reading right now. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
one
because
person. But
really the disruptive, creative, game changing things that happen come from people who
are eager
haven't
to
learned
start
that in
already.
the academe or didn't learn all that from school.
Yeah.
I mean, not the how to's of it, but basically just the whole foundational skills or personalities, even or capacities that you develop or is
Mhm.
even innate in you, I guess.
Take it for what I think, I mean, in the educational system, it is good because if you're able to learn how to learn, right? If it teaches you how to learn, not necessarily the content, not necessarily all about the content, right? Because I was a humanities major and I enjoyed the discussions on civilization, on history, on looking at the art. So it allowed me, the good teachers gave me the way to reconfigure my eyes and ears on what to look for and what does it mean in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Same. Don't get me wrong that I'm bashing academia or whatever. I have great
Yes.
respect for that. Part of me still yearns to be able to actually re-enter and even re-experience it differently. Because
That would be
I'm a
amazing.
trainer now. I do a lot of
Yes.
enabling of learning for others. Even I've actually given more trainings than I've received. So that's the funny part. Sometimes when I do my CV and the other way they structure it, like trainings received, right? Further
Yeah.
professional or training. I've actually trained hundreds literally of consultants all over the world,
Yeah.
even senior ones, into methodologies and approaches. But I wasn't a participant because I designed the bloody thing.
Yeah. So instead of
Certificate
like training received, you should have it on your CV. It's like trainings delivered,
trainings conducted, trainings
right?
designed, trainings
And
super
then have a note of like
loads.
what's the level of the participants in work.
No, not bragging, but there's consultants in my field who have included the trainings that I had designed and led
Yeah.
as part of their professional uh
Dev.
development. Yes, it's cited there.
Cool.
But I can put it in trainings received because I didn't. I wasn't.
Then upturn that apple cart. Instead of training received, like training delivered.
But
Boom. Like, hang
because it's
on.
because it's
Oh,
box like that, right? In forms.
oh, okay.
So
All
maybe
right.
I'll just put it still there. I'll put the role trainer, design,
Yeah.
train, and the hell. See, that's what I mean. The world is structured in a certain way, and unfortunately, even agencies that are meant to be leading change in the world,
Yeah.
their recruitment, if you look at it, it's ironic because their recruitment methods and tools are structured in the traditional ways. Sometimes it's even a leader for innovation. But
Yeah.
then you look at it and the way they recruit and screen and frame how they find people is actually really not innovative or not leading to change or whatever.
Yeah. So you've gotten an approval or saying that, yeah, you're on the right path, that it doesn't allow those folks sometimes to break out and find new ways because you've been told that, yes, that's the right thing. I
Yep.
guess what I'm trying to say is that sometimes having credentials can also limit you because as human beings, we're really not comfortable with change. So that when something comes up and seems like a different way of doing things, especially if you have an MA or your MBA or a PhD, and then, oh shit,
How do
if
I?
that's something that's different, like, oh, why do no? Because this is the thing that I've been told, and elite school had said, yes, you're right. This is the way to do things.
We should have a conversation with someone who has that kind of profile and is now faced with the reality that the world is changing. So for example, someone who studied for so long or had this many degrees of all different levels in terms of technology, for example, the science of data, and now you have artificial intelligence and all these things that were not in your formal learning pathway because they didn't exist before, but also it becomes a product of the very field or industry that you were in. It's a product of the development of that industry or the successes.
Yeah.
But now you're faced with all these new things. How do you navigate and how do you feel about it? And what is the quality of engaging that helps, enables you to continue to productively be part of that field?
I like that idea. Yeah. This kind of feels like a two-parter. Maybe this will be
I
like a
know.
two-part conversation.
I know. We can continue. But anyway, I think we have
All
to
right.
end this one. More to be discussed.
Yeah.
But for now, thanks for joining us on Liminal Writing. And do feel free to give us comments to those who have managed to
Yes, please.
listen to some of our podcasts. And we'll See you again.
All right. Bye now.